afternoon. It's great to see so many of you here, and thank you for the response. I appreciate it. So good afternoon. My name is Brenda Flannery, and I'm the Dean of the College of Business, and we are delighted to have so many of you here this afternoon to hear our Big Ideas speaker. We began the Big Idea speaker series as a way to showcase transformational ideas and people to inspire others to act on their own big ideas. Matt Ames came to Minnesota State Mankato in 2002 with an idea that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He began acting on his ideas, and I am so excited for him to share with you the real big idea that has shaped how he lives each day. I'm just going to give you a little bit of quick background on Matt. Matt started his first business, actually probably when he was 9 or 10. He was interviewed this afternoon on KMSU, and I found out a few things about him. I found out he started playing paintball because he was told he could no longer play hockey because of some health reasons. So he started paintball when he was 10. He took his passion and turned it into something much more than about a game. He really is perhaps one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. He acts on his ideas. He's created almost industries based on his ideas. He started here as a student when he was 17. He was at 18, 18, 17. Yeah, here. He was 18. Okay, he was 18 when he started here. So he came with his first business here. He created his next business even when he was a student here at MSU. He sought me out when he was a freshman because he wanted to know how to be part of an entrepreneur fair that I was having, primarily for juniors and seniors. He kind of wiggled his way into that fair when he was a freshman. So he came here with an idea, but every single day that he was here on campus, he made his idea go further. So I'm really excited to have him back, and I'm really excited that you're here to hear his story. Before we get to Matt, I want to thank a few people. Elizabeth Johnson, where are you? Where's Elizabeth? Is she in here? She's outside. Okay, Elizabeth is a graduate student here on campus, but she's also our communication events intern in the College of Business Dean's office. She made this whole event happen. Also, big thanks to all the students, faculty, and staff from the College of Business who helped make Matt's visit back to Minnesota State Mankato really fun. Also, a big thanks to our longtime partners and sponsors of the Big Idea Speaker Series, including Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, the College of Extended Learning, Greater Mankato Growth. In fact, there's quite a few young professionals here today, and glad to have you here. And Sodexo, thank you for the awesome refreshments, and the Minnesota State Mankato Small Business Development Center. In fact, let me introduce you to a great university leader, the director of the Small Business Development Center, Mike Nolan.
Thank you. This is really exciting. My passion is entrepreneurship. I absolutely get charged up every day. If you don't know, we have a small business development center right here on campus. And what we do and what our mission is here at the university is to help nurture and foster and help businesses grow, get started, get going, and get moving. We do work with over 3,000 one-on-one consulting hours a year. I see some of our clients are actually in the audience here today. We help raise over $13 million of bank financing. And we do all this with a partnership of the university, our local communities, our cities, states, government. We also work with private banks. They actually make donations to the university support. But primarily, it's a partnership with the Small Business Administration. And I'm absolutely proud to welcome Nancy Leversky. She's our state director of the SBA. The SBA does many functions in our society. One of them is help fund our small business development centers, so I can help you get started in a business if you'd like. Matt sought help at the SBDC up in St. Thomas, and they helped him get going and get started. So I'd like to welcome Nancy to the stage, and she can tell you why Matt was our Young Entrepreneur of the Year in our state. Nancy.
On campus. I was telling Mike when we were walking over from his office, it's like just being on campus makes me want to go back to school. So I was an adjunct instructor for one of the colleges in the city, so it's kind of getting under my skin a little bit, but nonetheless. Mike had mentioned the U.S. Small Business Administration. We are a federal agency. We were actually started in 1953, so we've been around for a long time. The Small Business Administration has one centralized focus, and that is to help small businesses and to help them grow. So with the funding that we have for the Small Business Development Centers as well as other resource partners, for instance, SCORE, which is a group of individuals who help people who have a good idea. So I can look out here and you know what, I bet we have a lot of inspiring young entrepreneurs. And after you hear Matt's story, I challenge you to go out and really start working on that creative idea and get going. Every year, the President of the United States proclaims a National Small Business Week. Normally it's in the month of May. And each district office, we have 63 district offices throughout the nation. We all collaborate with our resource partners, and we have a small business event. This is something that is, every office is very, they have a great deal of pride in putting together this event, because this is truly the Small Business Administration's time to highlight and present awards for the specific accomplishments of achievements to small businesses. One of these awards is called the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. The criteria for that award, just so you know, so you can bank this information, it's based on sales, profits, employment, innovation, and entrepreneurial potential. And you have to be under the age of 30 or younger. Now, to me, that's a big list, a lot of things to do, even for a 50-year-old in business. So take into consideration 30 years old or less. When our panel of judges actually reviewed Matt Ains' award package, they were extremely impressed. He had a great ability to show his entrepreneurial dream, live his entrepreneurial dream, and he actually started that at a young age, just as what was mentioned, I believe high school as well, and then he continued his vision through college and still continues that sustainability. Given the fact that his business isn't your normal run-of-the-mill day, not of the kind of business you see at every corner, it speaks a lot for Matt's ability by having a steady growth in sales, profits. He has overcome many obstacles, and he's still employing people. Matt also stood out from the other potential award packages because of his tremendous commitment to his community by contributing to charitable causes. With his talent and fortitude, we at the Small Business Administration look forward to possibly awarding Matt Ains for the Small Business Person of the Year. Now this is a huge deal because the Small Business Person of the Year goes to a national level and goes to the White House, meets the President, and it's a tremendous honor to be able to have a Small Business Person of the Year from Minnesota to travel to Washington. So Matt, we're counting on you, okay? We're counting on you. What Matt has achieved over the years supports the proven fact that small business does create the economic force to grow our community. So enough of me, enough of SBA. You are ready to listen to Matt Ains, and I think you are going to be greatly inspired by his story. And without further ado, come on. You need to come on.
All right. Everybody hear me? You guys want to sit down? It's going to be a while. All right. So, first thing, I want to know why you guys are here. Raise your hand if you're here for the free food. Be honest. I won't. That's what they got me on. We got a couple. All right. Who's here because, does anyone in the audience own their own business right now? Nice, okay. Is anyone thinking about starting their own business or maybe has an idea? Okay, a lot of people, that's good. Who is here because they're being forced for a class or something? Nah. Elizabeth, that's the key. You gotta get them here, you gotta get the teachers involved. Who here has played paintball before? Okay. Who here has eaten at a food truck before? Okay. Students and market research. Anyway, there's going to be a bunch of pictures going on behind me throughout this whole thing. At some point, you should understand their relevance. The melancholy truth in the modern world, is that a person is largely remembered in the moment of their greatest accomplishment. It could be the day that a company goes public, or Michael Jordan hitting a buzzer beater to win a world championship. It's these moments that are built upon millions of other moments that no one will see, and that few will endure. The path to success in any endeavor will be different than any previous, but the individuals who take the journey will find similarities both personal and professional. My personal journey has hurled me down the path of entrepreneurship. So let me tell you, live from the trenches of the battle, that entrepreneurship is hard. It is harder than you can imagine. And if it had been clear to me from the beginning, I may have never started. So many people think that they can build a successful company, or become a professional athlete, or become a famous artist. I can personally tell you that for every individual that succeeds going down that path, there are hundreds, if not thousands, that quit along the way. And there are even more that never get started. The reality is that talk accounts for nothing in this life. Somewhere along the lines, some of you are going to take your hat out of the ring and do something else. In the end, there will be those individuals who take the risk and go after their own vision and goals and go for it. And the ones that don't, you will spend a third of your life working for someone else to achieve their goals and dreams. After 10 years of getting my ass kicked, I have come to the realization that a professional mindset is a common trait that all successful individuals share. This mindset will assist you through the endless voyage of self-creation that is entrepreneurship. And it is critical because entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and no two paths are the same. When I speak of a professional, it's not wearing a suit to work. It's not the picture of all the people up here that I got wearing suits to work. It's an ideal that spans across all professions. It is a concept that great men and women have universally come to understand. That everything in life for them is done out of love and for purpose. Why else would they sacrifice years of their life on a single endeavor? Why spend tens of thousands of hours for a single gold medal? How many artists or authors have died on utter and absolute poverty, only to have their work understood years after their deaths? It is because they believe. They believe in the goal and cherish the grueling path that had brought them down. While amateurs play for the short term, the professional plays for the long haul. The professional knows that success is earned over the years, decades, and lifetime of sacrifice. An amateur thinks making a free throw wins a game. A professional knows it's the hundreds of shots you take after practice each day. Successful individuals share many common traits, regardless of the field they are successful in. Artists, athletes, historical figures, entrepreneurs are all professional, and they have a professional mindset. Professionals set goals and hold themselves accountable. You should always have goals. There should always be something you are striving for. Currently, one of my long-term goals is to own 40 to 50 acres within 45 minutes of major metropolitan areas of 2 million people or more in 5 underserved markets in the U.S. A smaller goal that can help me reach that is doing everything I can to create a sales process, a robust, scalable sales process that I can roll out to my sales staff. A second characteristic of a professional is someone who puts in the work. Day in and day out, they are disciplined. For a writer, it's sitting down and writing, even when they don't know what they're going to write about. As a professional athlete, it means the countless hours in the gym and at practice. As a surgeon, it means the years of school and study. It's the McDonald's employee who's been working there for 2 years, shows up early every day, has a clean uniform, a smile on his face, and whether you're a customer or a coworker, when you look at him, you can tell that he takes pride in what he does. The U.S. Military Academy at West Point has a demerit system. It's just a basic form of negative reinforcement. If you show up late, you get a demerit. If your room is messy, you get a demerit. Too many demerits and you fail out. In 1825, a cadet would enter West Point, and throughout his 4-year career, there would not earn a single demerit. He got the little things right every day for 4 years. After graduating top of his class, he would go on to a distinguished military career and died perhaps the most beloved general in American history. His name was Robert E. Lee. All true professionals prepare for whatever they are doing. It could be a playoff game for an athlete, a soldier gearing up and going into battle, a writer knowing what type of environment they work best in. Any good professional will tell you that preparation is a must. Being a professional means that you must appreciate failure. It is easy to fail at something, but as a professional, it is not enough to fail. You must learn from failure. Professionals understand that this failure is the price of playing the game. I forget the exact company, but I heard a quote from some CEO in the newspaper that the reporter asked him if he was going to fire a VP because they made a huge mistake and lost like $200 million. The CEO's response was, absolutely not. This VP has just learned a very expensive lesson. We want him on our team. It's this approach to the process that makes a professional. So after you have some goals and are learning from failure, the next thing you need to do is get organized. Professionals are organized. If I'm paying someone money to do a job, it's not enough to just do the job. You need to do the job well, in a professional manner, and be organized. If I'm paying someone, my grandfather, the founder of Ames Construction, Dick Ames, has pounded into his employees. I don't care if we go broke, but if we go broke, we're going to go broke organized and clean so that the next guy can come in here and pick up right where we left off. If you're going to do something, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need to be organized. If you're organized, when you look back on all your failures, you'll be able to see why you failed, and then you don't have to make the same mistake again. The greatest trait any professional has is their mindset. Mindset is the approach you have towards something. Your mindset as a professional is critical because it affects everything you do, from your discipline to your ability to learn from your mistakes. Personally, I own it. I don't make excuses. I get the job done no matter what, whatever it takes. I make the best decisions possible and try to be an example for what I want my employees and business to be about. Ambitious, hardworking, efficient, intelligent, and fun. The truly great professionals look at situations and see different roads to success. The amateur looks at the same situation and only sees pitfalls and what will lead to failure. To be a professional, you must appreciate the grind and what goes along with it. It's the respect of the long hours, the traveling and being away from your family and friends. The responsibility of being the person that when there's a problem at 2 a.m., you're on. Or when a game goes into overtime for an athlete, you have nothing left. You have to find a way to win. A good friend of mine is in the military special forces. In different ways, we both welcome different types of misery for different reasons. He has re-enlisted 3 times now. There's something that keeps bringing him back. He spends his nights training and preparing for the next day at some camp in Afghanistan. For me, I spend it in the office until 3 a.m. or hotels or planes. We both find an awkward pleasure in making the sacrifice. I think Toby Keith has a great quote in one of his songs, "You can't call in sick on Mondays, the weekend's been too strong." That speaks to this. As a professional, you need to appreciate the victories and know that these moments of triumph are hard to accomplish. But at the end of the day, those victories are worth it. In the moment, it's the moment that comes from years of hard work, preparation, and sacrifice, like winning a world championship, saving a life with a new surgery, writing a bestseller, or creating the Mona Lisa. It's in these defining moments that one discovers it's more about the process than the trophy. Olympians talk about how surreal it is when they win gold, and all their life's hard work finally pays off. It's surreal for a reason. They've been doing this for their entire lives. with no recognition. And then one day, all of a sudden, millions of people pay attention and care for a brief moment, only to be remembered, only to be forgotten weeks, if not days later. Although the world may only remember a moment, a snapshot in time, to a professional, it's about the process that leads to this moment. How you approach your profession is instrumental in determining how successful you will be. It doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete, a school teacher, an artist, or a business owner. I believe your mindset towards your profession is the single greatest quality that you control that will determine your success. Having this professional mindset will help an entrepreneur tremendously, because as any entrepreneur can tell you, it's not easy and it's not for everyone. There's some goblins right there. You've all heard the stats a million times about business failure rates. I'm sure Nancy could get up here and tell you a bunch of them off the top of her head. I'm not here to harp on that. I can tell you firsthand that I started my business with a partner. Not many people know that before MM Pro Paintball was MM Pro Paintball, it was Jam and Trade Zone, the field. Or JTZ, the field as we call it. I was 17 years old. My partner was Randy Rogie, who was 28, he was married, he had 2 kids, family, whatnot. His normal job was a manager at Panera. He also ran a paintball team, which is how I met him. I got onto his team, and he had an online store. His wife was a Hmong translator for some hospitals. I was 17 and had a broken ankle, and I couldn't work for my dad. So we started it up a field and ran it for 3 months. After 3 months, we shut down, paid back his uncle who had borrowed us some startup cash, and at that time, Randy said he couldn't do it anymore. He wanted to. He loved paintball. He loved paintball more than I loved paintball, and he lived for it. But he had a family to feed. So we split the assets and went our separate ways. The next year, 2002, I started what is currently known as MM Pro Paintball with another partner, Jeff Much, who was a hardworking friend of mine that I knew from high school. Jeff was 18 years old also, and he was not passionate about paintball, but he was a hard worker and had the cash that I needed to get the business off the ground. We both put in $2,000 and started what is now MM Pro Paintball. He worked for the first several months, and we were doing great. And then he got a girlfriend. And we were in high school, literally. He got a girlfriend in high school, he never had a girlfriend before. Disappeared. I kept going about the business, making things happen, but after a couple months, I knew that it wasn't going to work. So I took all my graduation money, and I put it in an envelope and gave it to him at his graduation party. Literally. Put $2,000 in an envelope, put it in his graduation card, put it in his basket, and then we had a conversation when he opened it. He understood, and he was out. Then there was Casey. While he was never an official owner, he was more than a partner. He put in obscene amounts of work for minimal pay and truly cared about the business. He was a significant influence on the business for a number of years, and as we were running the business and going to school here at MSU. Over time, push came to shove, and he had to do what he had to do. I couldn't afford to pay him what he needed, even with part-time jobs that he had been involved in, and ultimately, his involvement dwindled. Another partnership I had that was one of my failed ventures, EnhancedPaintball.com. Aaron Giersdorf, Casey Flom, and myself started an online paintball store while attending MSU in 2004. Aaron was a computer science major here at MSU. He provided all the technical know-how. Casey and myself provided the paintball knowledge and the grunt work for adding items to the store and actually shipping the very few orders that we ever had. We were all equal partners in this venture. Both Aaron and Casey flaked out over the years after graduation, and it turned into me doing all the work running the site. I didn't want to do all the work and only receive a third of the non-existent profits. So I initially talked to them about buying them out. They wanted too much for what it was worth, so I told them they could just have my shares. I was out. Well, since I was running everything, it folded very quickly. Randy, Jeff, Casey, and Aaron are all amazing people with great skill sets who are successful individuals in life. There are, however, 4 personal examples that entrepreneurship is not for everyone. I will be the first to say that they made the best decisions for themselves at the time. Randy focused on providing for his family with a more stable job. Jeff went after love and has recently, literally last weekend, got married to that girl. Casey was doing what he had to do to survive and now has a great job at the Mayo Clinic. Aaron graduated from college with a computer science degree and took a corporate gig at Federated Insurance that probably pays way more than Enhanced ever would. The years that these guys came and went were not great years for business. No one was getting paid hardly anything, myself included. Things were embarrassing. I was consistently overdrawn at the bank. I received plenty of ridicule about what I was doing with all this paintball stuff, but I kept at it. I did what it took to keep the dream alive. I sacrificed my credit score. I sold my 2002 Grand Prix and took my grandma's 93 Honda Prelude as a handout since she couldn't drive anymore, she was too old, and took that money that I got from selling my car and put it back into the business to make ends meet. I missed a season of varsity lacrosse in high school. I opted out of a fully paid family vacation to the Bahamas so I could expand. I put numerous personal guarantees on any financing I could get and learned a tough lesson about theft and insurance. I have lost girlfriends and failed classes because I had the opportunity to make $1 what involved traveling all over the U.S. I was kicked out of St. Thomas, and I am no longer allowed in the Fleet Farm League. I did all of this, and there was truly never any doubt in my mind that what I was doing was worth it. I honestly believe that I would sell the pacemaker in my chest right now if it was the last resource to get the cash that I needed to keep the business operational for another month. These are just some of the examples of the sacrifice it took and how much I believed in what I was doing. Every entrepreneur has sacrificed a significant amount, but sacrifice isn't the only reason that entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. It's the ability to understand and calculate risk in real time. The ability to risk everything that matters on those calculations. It's the arrogance to believe that you can succeed where everyone else has failed. It could be labeled as borderline delusional or simply being stupid. The world is quick to mock success that seems to come from a foolish gamble. But like Babe Ruth, pointing to center field, an entrepreneur is willing to call their shot and swing the bat. An entrepreneur can see the big picture and measure their chance for success. The single defining action of an entrepreneur is the ability to do it. Many people write business plans, do all the analysis and the research, some even raise some money, but few actually do it. To be exact, based on some SBA numbers I found, 0.00215% of the U.S. adult population started a business in 2010. It's not for everyone. But there's good news. For those of you who all raise your hand who maybe have an idea or are thinking about starting something, you do not have to look yourself in the mirror and say, oh my God, can I do this? Do I have what it takes? You don't. There comes a point in every entrepreneur's venture where you actually have to do it. If you think entrepreneurship is for you, you will find out. You'll be at that point of contention where you either have to do it or you don't. You might not realize it right away, but you should understand that at that point, along the path, that decision you make, it will change you forever. It's a commitment that most people don't realize they are making, but it changes you. So if you actually do this entrepreneurship thing, and are lucky enough to endure long enough to get some success, you will soon learn that entrepreneurship typically goes from working in the trenches, doing the day-to-day, to a leadership role. When I started MM Pro Paintball, the most important thing was not leadership. It was not management. It was cash flow. We had to make money every week. We started with $4,000. We had to turn it over. We didn't have enough cash to survive a bad week. We had to earn money. So it was critical to get customers to the park. Therefore, marketing was one of the most important roles that I had to get right. And it is also the same reason I'm not allowed to Fleet Farm. In the beginning, there were a couple of employees. While it was important to keep people motivated, it was more important to make ends meet and to keep things going. Over the years, we have grown revenues and employees. As we've grown, management and leadership have become more prevalent roles. As the founder of any organization, people will always look to you for leadership. As you become more established and have other people doing more of the day-to-day, leadership becomes the difference between great organizations and the ones that are spinning their wheels. Like a Marine lieutenant, you need to lead from the front with the follow-me mentality. So take it from me, someone who's doing it right now, that it's not for everyone. I was the guy who really didn't know what I was getting into at the time when I started my business. It was a hobby. It was fun. I was naive enough to not realize what I was getting myself into. I quickly developed a passion for business, and then through schooling, the entrepreneurship side of things. I never really considered getting a real job. I never had any doubt that this couldn't work, and that I was going to be an entrepreneur. While it's not for everyone, it is for some. For anyone inclined to go down this grueling path that is known as entrepreneurship, you should be aware that the journey is as much about business as it is about self-creation. By self-creation, I mean this notion that you're going to be creating something from nothing. In order to do so, you will need to define and redefine every aspect about yourself. There are going to be a million situations that you did not foresee and challenges that you'll be forced to deal with. If you are lucky, you will have some expertise in a few of them, but at best, you will be left to your own devices to formulate a solution that resolves the dichotomy that comes from most of these situations. In order to accomplish this, it means continually developing oneself. An entrepreneur must continually work on their weaknesses and hone in on their strengths. Like a great athlete who turns a weakness into a strength by shooting 10,000 free throws in the offseason. In management, there's a theory that you want to focus on an employee's strength. Give the employees tasks and job duties that play to their strengths and not to their weaknesses. All people have strengths and weaknesses. As an entrepreneur, it is vitally important to know what yours are. It is equally important to know where the business's strengths and weaknesses are at any given time. Being able to effectively do this can mean that you realize for your business to be around in 4 months, you need to hire a salesperson. But it needs to be the right salesperson. You need to get it right the first time because you don't have enough cash and or time to survive longer than 4 months. But how do you do this? You've never hired someone before. Assuming you don't have the cash flow to outsource it, you take it upon yourself. And in business, unlike sports, there is no off-season. So the work typically gets done after hours. This is just one of a million scenarios that will test your ability to define and redefine yourself and your role. Your role as an entrepreneur changes over time, as I have mentioned. Before, it typically goes from daily operations to more of a leadership management role. In order to survive as an entrepreneur, you must be driven. You must be driven to the point that you are willing to change everything about yourself. You might be the best widget maker or paintball referee like I was, but that might not be important in a year or two. You will have to look at the business and look at yourself. You will have to change. Some of the changes you may welcome, others you may not. Are you driven enough to do the things you hate doing or have no idea how to do? It will require changing aspects of your personality and learning new skill sets. Things you never wanted to learn and have no value outside of your realm. As your roles continue to change, the one thing will become clear. It's never ending. I've been doing this for 10 years, and the only thing consistent is that there will be change and it will come with new challenges. Having a professional mindset, as I have described in the context of this speech, is extremely important. If you grasp this mindset, then you will have a greater chance to succeed. When I say success, I mean as an entrepreneur. I do not mean as a business. You are not your business. Despite as much as it might feel like it, the truth is you could be a terrible entrepreneur, not have the professional mindset at all, and still be successful in business. This leads me to my final point, that no two paths to success are the same. Two people can approach the same problem from a different way, and both can be right. It comes down to the process of which they operate and how they get to their solution. The same is true for paths to greatness or success. While many of the obstacles along the path will be similar, from financial difficulty, adversity, the fear of failure, there's an infinite amount of possible solutions and ways to reach the top. There is no set path for an entrepreneur, as there is no set path for a professional athlete. Some come from rich families and great homes. Others come from poor families and not ideal backgrounds. The path is always different in some aspect. Being great in business typically means, and I mean great, I don't mean you've got a local store. I'm not great, absolutely not great. But to be truly great in business, it typically means that at some point you do something different. You have a different business model, a different concept, or a new product. These are game changers, like Netflix having a new model of how to get movies into people's hands. You don't need a brick and mortar store. Netflix approached Blockbuster for fun. They wanted advice. They wanted their know-how. They wanted to become Blockbuster's online presence. Blockbuster turned them away. Fast forward a few years, and Blockbuster is late to the party and bankrupt. You can get a ton of advice and learn from the best. But if you are truly doing something different, you you will find yourself at a point where that advice and guidance can only take you so far, and you need to go it alone. No two businesses, athletes, or artists' journey to success are identical. There are many similarities, but there are differences. These differences are important because while 99% of the story may be similar, it's how they handle that 1% that can make the difference between success and failure. A common question when talking about entrepreneurship and the different paths to getting there is that, can entrepreneurship be taught? Raise your hand if you think you can. Jeez, Brenda, you got some work to do. All right, so people typically either think it can be taught or that you're just born with it and you have it. I'm a firm believer that it can absolutely be taught. You can teach anyone anything with enough time and practice. That being said, there is going to be some people predisposed to being better at some things than others. Like a 7-foot-tall guy making it in the NBA versus a 5-foot guy. Specifically for entrepreneurship, you can teach the business disciplines of accounting, marketing, and so forth. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. It's the vision, the risk, the understanding the market aspect that seems to be debated. You can be taught different strategies of how to look at a market or how to turn an idea into a business. There are millions of people who have done it before, and if you really get into these specifics of what you are doing, it can be broken down, analyzed, and taught. I spent 2 years doing just this at St. Thomas. I am by no means an expert, but like many other complicated professions, it's really an art and not a science. Just like with sports, there are desired characteristics with an entrepreneur. There are specific traits you would want to see if you were designing one from the ground up. Traits like a risk taker, goal-oriented, a leader, and a professional mindset, to name a few. These characteristics do not guarantee success, but an entrepreneur with these strengths may find the journey a bit smoother. As previously stated, a person is largely remembered in the moment of their greatness or their greatest moment of success or accomplishment. So now you have another point of view on what it takes to get to those moments of greatness, like Michael Jordan's buzzer-beating jumper, or taking a company public. These moments are just one of many in a process that the great people understand is what the journey is all about. No matter what your profession, athlete, teacher, doctor, or entrepreneur, your approach to the process is the single greatest thing that you can control. As any true professional will tell you, it's hard and it's not forever. That's it.
I just want to say that you just heard a very professional speech. What I mean by that is that was a speech given by someone who's lived a long time, even though he hasn't lived that long. I appreciate you so much for being here, Matt, and for sharing your story. And we're going to open it up now. I think you probably have some questions. And Matt is great at giving a speech, but he's even better on the fly. So I want you to ask him questions about whatever you want to ask him about. So, Matt, ready? So go ahead, and I think...
Kevin in the front row. So Fleet Farm, all right, Fleet Farm story. This was year one. It was straight guerrilla marketing. We had no money to advertise, we weren't doing radio ads or anything. We were printing flyers out on our parents' home computers, 4 to a sheet, cutting them up. We had colorful paper, so it popped. That was our marketing strategy. So as far as it went. All right, I'm not done. Where are our customers getting their stuff? They weren't getting it from me because I didn't have a store at the time. Fleet Farm and Walmart were the biggest places where people were getting their paintball equipment. So I took it upon myself to bring about 500 of those flyers into the store and into their paintball section, and I stuffed them into all their cases of paintballs. So I'm on my knees in Fleet Farm, totally oblivious to everything. I don't know what I'm thinking. And I actually did it 1 week and I didn't get in trouble, but they didn't catch me. Anyway, I'm on my knees, I'm stuffing flyers into these boxes, and I get tapped on the shoulder. And I've got the whole paint aisle laid out, and the whole aisle, everything. I'm not doing this very organized. And I get tapped on the shoulder. It's like a clerk and the manager. What do you do? I blame it on my boss. I was like, oh, my boss told me to come in here and do this. and then they proceeded to take me down to the back room, take my picture, and scan my ID. And I was formerly banned from Fleet Farm in Lakeville. Good question. What else? Oh, you guys are killing me. There's so much more. Purple. What was that? Entrepreneurship was the degree.
How did you fund your business? And you said you had to go
Great question.
Repeat the
Well,
question, please.
sorry. How did I fund the business with low credit score? I mean, initially it was my $2,000 and Jeff's $2,000, and we literally had $4,000. That was it. And then, you know, we took that money, bought some stuff, and then turned it over, and then we got robbed a whole bunch, and had to shut down for a year. Ultimately, I was always writing plans, and your relationship with a bank should be better than the one you have with your mom. Like, you need to know your banker, and you need to love them, and they need to love you. And we tried to get funding from US Bank and all the big banks, no one would touch us. Even some of the local credit unions. We had to go to some Podunk, some small town bank, Castle Rock Bank in Castle Rock, Minnesota. And they took a risk. I mean, our first loan was, I want to say, $6,000 without a trailer with it. So that helped, but it also hurt us because we always tried to make sure, you know, we were paying off our loan on time. The problem was this bank was so small, it didn't report anything to any credit bureaus. So it didn't improve my credit score at all. And I was always taking care of these guys before I'd take care of other, you know, financial obligations. And 5 years down the road, you really realize, oh, I don't get it. Why is our credit crap? I mean, yeah, I understand why it was for a while there, but, you know, I pay off these loans all the time. We pay this loan ahead. You know, we paid it off a year in advance. You think they'd love us? Well, we come to find out they're not even reporting anything to the credit bureau. But essentially, we found a bank that took a chance on us. Maybe we weren't asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, so that obviously helps.
You said you wrote a business plan. How many did you write, and what resources did you use to actually get more and more people to start this?
So the question was, how many business plans did I write, and where did I get my resources, and what resources did I use? The first business plan I wrote was in high school. It was terrible. The resources I used were, I mean, anything I could find. It was more so for me. I always found the business plan, most people think of it as like tedious and they don't want to do it. I like it. I like it because you start thinking about things and then you put your thoughts on paper, and that's important. It helps with your organization. I can go back, I can rearrange things, I can figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work. Over the years, I've written probably, I feel like I start a lot of business plans and don't finish them all. Once I get to the point where like, yeah, it's going to work, I just take off and go do it. But I've probably written five or six business plans. And I mean, at St. Thomas, you're like 450, your final class is a business plan and a business plan competition. The resources there, honestly, those databases that you guys have access to here, you don't realize it, that is gold, absolutely gold. I'm not kidding you, I still know those kids that go to St. Thomas, I consistently talk to them and ask them for reports that they can pull off the IBIS and all these other databases and resources that normally cost thousands of dollars to even have access to. Those are huge. That's the biggest resource that I found, are those databases to find those numbers and that research that's out there. But the key to writing the business plan is asking the right questions, because every business plan is different and there's a million templates, but your business is different. No two are alike. You need to figure out what are the right questions you need to answer in that. Gentleman standing there.
What made you go from an online presence to, it seems like you have like a storefront now?
Yep, so the question was what made us go from an online presence to a brick and mortar storefront. Originally, yeah, I had a paintball park was the first thing, And then I came to school down here, and we met Aaron, and we were in the paintball club together, and he was a comm science major, so hey, let's do a paintball field, because I had access to all the wholesale accounts and whatnot, because it was cheaper, is the answer. It was way easy, it's way cheaper to, anyone could go home tonight and throw up an online store for $100, buy a shopping cart and be done with it. It's probably not gonna look that great, it's probably not gonna function that well, but it was cheaper than opening a brick and mortar store.
How is your business organized? That's question one. And question two, it sounds like you have really ambitious plans to scale up. Will your organization change?
So the first question was, how are we organized? How are we organized? We are organized. You got a whiteboard, I'll draw it up. Essentially, I'm the CEO. I have two senior managers. One is a park manager. He handles everything that goes on at the park. The other is a retail manager, and he handles both of the brick and mortar stores and the online store. And then they have people below them, and then I technically have those two reporting to me, as well as our wizard. That's what we call her. She's actually sitting in the front row. She's the wizard. She does admin stuff, books groups. She does a million different things. Reports directly to me now, as does our group sales department that we just added. So that's how we're currently organized. Honestly, it changes every year. Last year was different than this year, and as we continue to grow, we just kind of realize, where do you put people? That's a great question. I've actually been asking that question to a lot of other business owners as we try to grow. And as far as their second question was about scalability.
Well, just as you scale up, you see your organization changing. I understand what you say yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as we try to grow, I feel like we already are at the point where I'm looking for that next key person that's going to help, relieve some of the stress that a lot of the people in the organization are already dealing with, as well as take us to that next level. Questions?
You been able to fix your credit score?
Yes. Took a while. That's side note. The best money I spend $165 every year for Privacy Guard. It's a credit monitoring thing. I seriously recommend it. Everyone should know their credit score, regardless if you're an entrepreneur or whatever. You should just know it. This is like a website I can go to. I can log in right now, find out what my credit score is, find out what's on there, find out what's affecting it negatively. That was the first step. How many people here know their credit score right now? Raise your hand. Okay. For those of you that don't, seriously, go find out. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
How are you structured originally? Or who's doing what?
When you say originally, you mean like 2002 or like 2000? 2002 was the first year as MM Pro Paintball. How we were structured was there was me, there was Joey K. No one was paid. Absolutely no one was paid. So how we compensated our employees the first year was, we were in high school. And all these kids all my friends that just wanted to play paintball. So we gave them free paintballs to work, basically. There was no structure. It was terrible. There'd be 5 of us that would show up and we would just handle it. One person would, usually Casey would run the register. By register, I mean money box. And we were literally in a tent, like a $200 Sam's Club tent, and we built little custom racks in the back. And then the rest of us would just rep. We'd all be guides and take groups out. It was all little groups, getting groups of people to come out, private parties. So, and then everyone else would just take a group out and manage it. Then we grew. We got a trailer where we got the first loan for, and then I hired a cashier. And then it just starts to scale up naturally. Yes.
You touched on expanding eventually. When are you planning to do it? How far you want to go with your company?
Expanding. Touched on expanding and how far I want to go. Great question. So how far I want to go? To the moon.
You said you wanted to buy 175 companies.
No. The current model I'm working on is, can I take, I believe that I can pay the mortgage on 40 to 50 acres of land within 45 minutes of a metropolitan area with at least 2 million people in it, by running a paintball operation, which I'm pretty good at this point. And so if I can buy that land, have that fixed asset, and run a paintball field, pay the mortgage, 10 years I'm in a pretty good spot, and then possibly, hopefully open more stores also.
Do you want to keep opening up stores and don't want to sell?
Stores and parks there's an interesting dynamic between the two that we've learned. They both feed on each other. Absolutely. Our Minnetonka store, our second store that we opened in 2010, we put it where we put it because we knew we needed to have a paintball park near it. People aren't going to buy paintball stuff if they have nowhere to play. If so we knew that, and there was a paintball park on the north side of the city called Northside, and it was about 20 minutes away from where our location was going to be. We knew people would drive that far, no problem. So then we opened our store, and literally 2 months later, the city shut them down. And they had been there for 10 years. Eminent domain, they like put in the light rail or something, so they kicked them out. So they shut down, that affected us. And then the Toys R Us, the tenant in our building, shut down for a big remodel. So our first year was way under control as far as what we were hoping to do, but now we're rambling. What was that? When am I starting a food truck? We're in business, man. I got my MDA, the Minnesota Department of Health license, my sticker in the mail, and license like 2 weeks ago. I ran it 2 days, me literally out there. I have no idea what I'm doing. I bought this, I went down to Minneapolis, Kansas. I bought this. It's not a food truck like you're thinking. It's a concession trailer. It's a 26-foot. Think State Fair. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Everyone's all high and mighty on these food trucks. Oh, they're the greatest. No, I kind of see that as a trend. I think a concession trailer at the Renaissance Fair, at the State Fair, at a city fair, those things have been doing that for years, and those people make tons of money. So that's what I have. And as far as I have no idea what I'm doing, 2 Saturdays ago was the first time I ran it. I didn't even know how to turn on the deep fryer, and let alone know how long to cook the fries. So they float, I was told, or how hot do I cook the grease? But I'm learning. All right, I make it sound worse than it is. I mean, I can figure some stuff out. So yes, operational.
Why didn't you have someone else run the food? Why didn't you just have someone else do it? Why did you do that?
Like our assistant manager at the park, who's a sous chef at the W. Literally, that's like what he's like a cooking genius. Because one, it's a separate business, so pulling him in will require me to make a different offer for him, and there's no way he can work for what he's working for now, knowing that that's like his major in school and whatnot. But the main reason is that I don't like to give, if I bring a new thing into my business, I want to learn how it works. So this food thing, I ran the numbers, I did all the numbers, figured out, this thing, I think this thing can work. It kind of made sense, like, we'll break even on it, no problem. So I go buy it, get it. I'm the type of person who's going to get in there and learn how to turn on the deep fryer, and learn how to clean it, and know what it should, what does it look like when it is clean? What is it, how clean, what kind of are the standards? And I don't like to hand it off to anyone until I know what I'm expecting. I don't like to give things to my managers without a clear expectation being set, and that I've proven to them that, I will never have anyone do anything that I won't do. That's kind of why.
So you have like the parts or
Yeah, the rollout process for the food truck is, because I don't know anything. Like if 2 Saturdays ago I had taken that thing to say, I don't know, a college campus or like a state fair or something, I would have been in the corner crying. Like it would have been. We served the first day. I served 54 customers in 2.5 hours, and it was mass chaos. Now imagine being at the state fair and there's like 1,000 people lined up, and I have no idea what we're doing. So the rollout plan is keep it at the park. It's a nice incubator environment. People can get mad, but truthfully, they have no other options out there. So if you want a hot dog, you gotta wait. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, the rod exploded. We're throwing another one on. Give me another 5 minutes. Sorry. So the rollout process is keep it at the park. Let's learn. I need to learn this business. So I'm in there. I'm learning. I need to figure out like what our cost structure needs to be like, and where we can save money, and figure out the business of it. And then I want to find a partner who can operate this thing, and I'll cut them in on it. I mean, I already paid for everything, but cut them in on it, and then they operate it. We'll get some chunk of the profits. Because my strength is absolutely not cooking. Yes.
Can you share information about your philanthropy? and why it's important.
Oh, let's go through the pictures here. I'll explain them. These are our badges. We're putting these on everything. I'm not a marketing expert at all, and I think it's very complicated and tough. At the same time, I think it's kind of simple. So this is the slide for professionals. You don't have to be wearing a suit to be considered a professional. Anybody know who that is? Bingo, we talk about him. This is called the Entrepreneur. It is a sculpture that sits outside St. Thomas. Personally, I find it kind of very motivating. It really, to me, it's what defines an entrepreneur. This guy, he's blindfolded and he's carving himself out of rock. That's what it really is. That's the self-creation aspect of my speech that I kind of told you guys about. These are our shop rental guns. And as far as philanthropy goes, because we're going to get to that slide, I'll just start talking about it. At some point here, a Challenge for Children's big logo, you guys probably saw it 100 times, don't kill yourself, is going to pop up. That logo is, I started a charity event in 2009. It's called Challenge for Children's. It's a big game. If any of you are familiar with paintball, it's a big game. We combine all 11 of our fields, and we get as many people to show up as we can. Last year we had 500. We split into 2 teams. So there's 250 against 250. Each team gets a general, and the general organizes everybody and whatnot. And there's missions you have to go on, and battles, and all sorts of cool stuff. So we do this big game, and all the money goes to children's hospitals and clinics in Minnesota. Started it in 2009. First year, we also do sponsorships. We get like corporates to come in and sponsor the event. 2009, we donated $12,000. 2010 was $16,000. 2011 was $21,000. $23,000. And then last year, $57,000. This year was $57,000. So we started an endowment fund. I started an endowment fund. Technically, it's in my name. Actually, no, it's in the company name. At Children's, so all that money goes into an endowment fund, and then it'll just keep giving. There it is. Challenge for Children. You guys, I've never played paintball. It's a hell of a day. When you get hit, you just go to like a respawn point. It's like a video game. You're just right back in again. You're never out. 4 questions. Eating cup. What time is it? Oh, we got tons of time.
How is your advertising since flyers?
Well, we've gone from me getting kicked out of Fleet Farm with paper flyers printed with just black ink on color paper to honestly, our business has been in that time frame when the internet's become really prevalent. You know, we started in 2002. One of the keys to our success was our website. We were the first, not the first paintball park. We were the first paintball park in Minnesota to have a decent website. You know, people found it. Kind of, you know, that was one of the things that we got right. We have a pretty big presence online as far as our website goes. We spend a ton of focus on SEO, as far as our keywords and whatnot, when people search for specific things that want to come up. Otherwise, really, we don't. It's not that drastic. A big thing we've done this year is that we're going to 18 events, outside events we're calling them. So we went to the Warrior Dash. We had a big table and booth set up where people, were giving out free coupons and trying to generate leads that way for the group salespeople. Warrior Dash, we've gone to bridal fairs, we've got, tons of different events like that. Bachelor parties are number one event. Don't be laughing. Yeah. So, does that even answer? We don't do radio. We do not have a massive radio campaign. We do not do anything on TV. Word of mouth is huge. Taking care of our customer and making it easy for them to share. Putting QR codes on stuff. The Facebook, we talk about our Facebook and our social media every week for an hour about what our strategy is and how we're trying to improve it and learning about it. Does that answer anything? We're going to do a drawing now? What do you want to give away? A date with Elizabeth. She's wearing this cute dress. So, let's find the lucky winner. What are we giving away?
Okay, the first prize is a Fleece Minnesota State blanket and a travel mug.
Kaboom!
All right.
Nate Chandler. Nate? Come on down. Underneath this. Pass that back. I'm zooming down.
Okay, our next prize is a leather portfolio and college business pen. It's actually really nice. I would win it if I could. If I could cheat, I would.
Janoj? I can't.
Janoj.
All right.
Our grand prize, I'm gonna have Matt introduce this because he's the one who donated it.
That's good.
And if you don't like paintball now, like this is gonna be your conversion if you win this.
On brand new, recently purchased cardstock from Target, I believe. Private paintball party to the closest park in Twin Cities. From here, the park, I want to say, you go to Jordan, you cut over, you're looking at 45 minutes to our park, I would guess. Is that right around here? Maybe 50? 50 minutes, 55. It's a private paintball package to our park for how many people? 6 players. 6 people, gets you 3-hour admission, private playing field with a group coordinator, basic rental equipment, gun goggles, tank, hopper, all that good stuff. 200 paintballs per person, unlimited air fills, up to 6 people, $270 value. Drum roll, please. Joseph Ritz.